That blocking pattern remains in place and will remain in place for at least the next few weeks. In this video, we're going to talk about what that means for our weather and what that might mean for our drought. Hello everybody, the time is 10:11 p.m. and it is July 15th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. Hopefully everybody's doing well. I will say last week was rather busy with regards to severe weather. We had 2 tornadoes, as a matter of fact, one in St. Joseph County, Michigan. We also had another one up near the thumb of the state as well, just today as a matter of fact, or just yesterday. And then we also had a couple tornado warnings across much of the state of Michigan, as well as severe weather in Indiana and Ohio. We'll have to wait on confirmation on what that tornado warning did east of Cleveland today as well. But we're going to be talking about kind of switching gears and talking about more than just the weather, more than just the severe weather potential. I'm actually going to talk about a couple things related to this blocking pattern that we have, and also just some things with regards to the smoke that we will be dealing with over the next couple of days. So let's get right to it. We're going to start right with the Storm Prediction Center's hazard for tomorrow. This is Sunday, okay, Sunday the 16th. You do notice that there is a marginal risk for severe weather across northwestern Indiana. Now, there could be some severe weather across that region, and there might even be a few pop-up thunderstorms across western Michigan too. Some of the models have hinted at that. We'll look at those models in just a minute. But again, marginal risk, not really looking at a tornado risk. Wind and hail seem to be primary threats. There's not really that much wind shear out there, and I don't think there's going to be a great potential for tornadoes with this setup. So damaging winds and hail appear to be the primary hazard with these storms, and they will be pop-up and they will be scattered. So not really expecting too much of significance for the upcoming weather event. But I do want to, first of all, before we get into discussion on the models related to the thunderstorm setup, I do want to get into the fires. Okay, so first of all, Canadian wildfires have been ongoing for a long time. Okay, there's been wildfires continuing across much of areas to our north, and that smoke is going to be flowing into our area once again. Alright, so what we have going on here is this is the HRRR's depiction of how much smoke we could expect in the atmosphere come tomorrow. Okay, so this is actually 1 p.m. today, so you do notice that the Upper Peninsula is already dealing with the smoke, but it looks like it's going to flow into the Great Lakes region by Sunday morning. And look at that, it could be impacting Western Ohio, the entire state of Indiana, and the state of Michigan is included in that smoke as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see some air quality alerts put out for much of the area tomorrow related to the smoke that is flowing in. A lot of this also has to do with the pattern that we're seeing in the atmosphere as well. There's kind of a blocking pattern in the southwest that's allowing just allowing systems to just flow into our area, and that's also what is influencing this smoke arriving. And it looks like it's going to continue even into Monday as well. By the time we get to Monday 1 p.m., you do notice that there's still smoke across the entire state of Indiana and Ohio, but Michigan's starting to finally get cleared out there. But again, just keep in mind the next couple of days we're going to be dealing with some smoke in the air, so might look a little hazy, might look a little foggy out there, but that's because of the smoke related to the Canadian wildfires that will be moving through the region. So just keep that in mind. That is something just to be aware of. But now let's get to what we're dealing with in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Okay, so again, this right here is your height anomaly, showing you the different pressure values in different parts of the United States and the upper levels. So you'll notice a trend if I just slide through this. What is similar about this setup? What you will notice is that this blocking pattern, this high pressure system in the upper levels, is going to be settling there through almost the end of the month. Now you do notice there's kind of a little bit of a pattern change here across by the time we get to the 31st, but this is a long range model. But looking in the short range to somewhat longer range, you do notice that this blocking pattern still stays in place across the southwest United States. So what does that mean for us? Well, more consistent events of thunderstorms that could be strong to severe across the plains and across the Great Lakes. So it's not going to be a surprise to see the forecast change showing showers and thunderstorm potential over the next week, and there could be a few instances where we could have some stronger thunderstorms next week again as well. and we'll probably be storm chasing those once again. But you do notice that there's a series of troughs that will dip into the Great Lakes region. First of all, on Sunday into Monday, one kind of flows in here, and then we have another one that seems to make its way in on Thursday. So those are the next weather events I am paying attention to with regards to severe weather setup in the Great Lakes region. But first of all, with the amount of rain that we have had over the past week, there have been some changes to the drought, and I think those will continue as we see these weather patterns continue the way that they are. But if you look at the drought monitor, which I'll pull up real quick, you'll notice that our region currently sits under a moderate to severe drought in many spots, and central Ohio seems to be out of that at the current moment, but much of the Great Lakes region still remains in a drought, but I don't think that's going to be the case for long. You look at the U.S. drought outlook, and what does it say? Well, if you zoom in on our region, that green area indicates where drought removal is likely. So you notice that green area is covering much of Indiana, Michigan. That's all resulting from that heavy amounts of rainfall that we have had over the past several days here in this region. But areas to the north, it looks like a drought might develop in the Upper Peninsula and parts of northern Michigan, and the drought will eventually disintegrate across Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. So good news for those areas. Definitely been needing water for a long time, but these areas still do need water, but it looks like, given the pattern that we are going to be facing, it will start to dwindle, which is good news. So just something to think about. Now, with this pattern, once again, that we have in the upper levels of the atmosphere, that's also going to influence the winds in the upper and mid levels of the atmosphere. Now, notice here, again, one thing we look for when we're talking about severe weather setups is what is the wind doing in the mid levels, the upper levels. That way we can see what could possibly evolve with regards to speed and directional shear and lift in the atmosphere. So what you're noticing here is this low pressure system, this trough that's going to be dipping in Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Here's the reason why the threat is possible in western Indiana that afternoon, is because we have these mid-level winds coming along with the low pressure system that we are seeing. So that is going to influence our weather, particularly in western and central Indiana, and I wouldn't be surprised to see possibly a few thunderstorms later on in the evening in Michigan as well. Not sure how severe those storms will be, if those storms will be strong or severe in any way, but the NAM has depicted a few thunderstorms popping up, and some of those storms could pack a little bit of strength to them. So western Michigan might have some chase potential tomorrow afternoon, but I'll see how things go down with that setup, and we'll look a little bit closer at the NAM in just a minute. But again, carrying over into Tuesday, it looks like that low pressure system will begin to lift farther off to the north, but you do notice that there's another low pressure system that's going to be making its way into here on Thursday and into Friday evening, and you notice that the winds focus around central Michigan during that time. So if there's potential that Michigan could see some stronger storms, and then I think Friday as well, we'll want to watch carefully for some thunderstorms across central and southern Ohio, connected with that low pressure system that's going to be dipping in to the region, or that trough that's going to be dipping in. So that is what I'm watching. I'm watching tomorrow specifically, and then also possibly Thursday and Friday with this possible setup. Now, what does the NAM say about this more recent setup? Now, again, if you show the NAM setup for tomorrow, it does show mid-level winds increasing across central Indiana, but also shows an increase across central and southern Michigan in the process as well. So could storms pop up? Well, only time will tell with that, but let's take a closer look with the reflectivity here. Okay, so let's go to our current time around 10 o'clock. Okay, so you see nothing's really happening. Then we get into tomorrow, and notice that it does show a few storms firing across northern Indiana. You get a sounding of that storm, shows a little bit of marginal severe potential. You do have Cape values of 2,000 elevated cloud bases. You do have a few storms that pop up across eastern Michigan as well, showing marginal severe potential with elevated cloud bases once again. And then by the time we get to 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow, some storms do pop up showing some marginal tornado potential even as well. Temperatures will be in the 60s, but you have low cloud bases, elevated storm relative felicity, you have surface level CAPE, so a few things could foster a damaging wind threat with those storms. Maybe there is potential there, but again, a lot of the storms on Sunday will be widely scattered and capable of packing some severe weather, especially across areas where those mid-level winds will be maximized across this region. So I do think these storms will probably have the greatest potential tomorrow, but we'll have to see how things unfold. And then as we get into Monday night into Tuesday, you do notice a few storms popping up across central southern Ohio once again, packing that severe potential. There's some instability with those storms as well. Gonna have to watch central southern Ohio Monday evening. So Euro model, let's get into the longer range setup. So again, here's Sunday. You have those storms popping up and kind of forming a little bit of a line, continuing into the overnight hours across some regions, packing that marginal severe potential. Crossing through on Monday, you have redevelopment of storms across central southern Ohio once again. There's your marginal severe potential showing up with those storms, likely not as big of a threat as what this region will see. But as we get into Tuesday, you do notice that there's random instances of showers and thunderstorms. Looks like some potential across western Illinois showing up once again, and you just have some pretty nice photographs showing up on there. Not really showing the potential for severe weather, but I do see a nice curvature to this photograph. Lots of storm relative felicity embedded with these storms along this side of the low pressure system. Something to be watching out for. But by Thursday, we have those showers and thunderstorms developing in Michigan at 1 p.m. Marginal severe potential. Not really good spin in the atmosphere for these storms, though, and elevated cloud bases indicate that this might not be as big of a threat, but again, it could change coming up to the point of the event. Still marginal severe potential showing up, elevated cloud bases, a little more elevated storm relative felicity by Thursday evening, 7 p.m. in central Michigan. Might focus there if I decide to go chasing for that. And it looks like some storms may fire across eastern Michigan as well, packing that margin for potential as we go into the overnight hours. And then it looks like there might be a chance to quiet down for a few days before the following week with that pattern still in place. So there's a few possibilities over the next week. They're definitely going to change. This pattern is kind of a difficult pattern to predict. I mean, you guys saw what happened Wednesday. We went from 0% tornado risk to 10% hatched in Illinois and Chicago, and we got a lot of tornadoes that day. So still going to keep in mind that things are subject to change, but still good to be aware of. That pattern's still in place for strong thunderstorms, so definitely expect the unexpected. And when the unexpected happens, you can just subscribe, shameless plug, and you can stay updated with us. I am live storm chasing, and I have noticed the connectivity issues with live streaming recently, and I'm looking for methods to combat that. There might be some options coming soon, so just stay tuned next week. I'll try to keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.